So it's over. The Lakers, the Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, LeBron, KD, and Steph, they're all gone. They're not going to make the second round for the first time in 20 years. What does the league look like now? I'm just going to discuss it, go over it, because I'm just as sad as the next guy, man. Lil Pookie Bear is gone. I think that this offseason is definitely going to be a tricky one. As I'm seeing here, a lot of people on Twitter have been saying that they want LeBron, Steph, and KD to team up, and I'm not going to lie. I have my TikTok account, and I threw out an idea that's a little crazy, but it just might work. It just might work. Now, before we get into that, I want to start talking about each team individually. Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns are going to have a terrible offseason this season, because the Bradley Beal trade really ruined them. Now, if you're not aware, you don't know, Bradley Beal has $50 million left next season, $54 million the season after that, and then $57 million left on Bradley Beal's contract. Plus, he's the only player in the entire NBA with a no trade clause, which means that Bradley Beal cannot go anywhere without telling the Phoenix Suns, I want to go there. So this is me after I recorded this video, and just to show you how crazy Bradley Beal getting a no trade clause is, I'm going to show you the list of players who got a no trade clause ever. David Robinson, John Stockton, Kobe, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, D Wade, and Carmelo Anthony. They have LeBron James listed here, but just to show you how rare it is to get a no trade clause, LeBron never got a no trade clause. He signed a 3-year deal in 2016, which was ineligible for him to ever get a no trade clause, but Bradley Beal is not on the level of any of these guys. Maybe John Stockton, but that's disrespectful to John Stockton. So Bradley Beal having a no trade clause, Washington giving Bradley Beal that contract is absolutely insane. The Phoenix Suns trading for that contract is absolutely insane. But yeah, just a little history lesson. Bradley Beal having a no trade clause puts him in elite company. But, you know, back to the video. So of course that means you can't just trade Bradley Beal to a bad team to get assets. It means that you're going to have to start looking at Booker or Kevin Durant to be that guy that the Phoenix Suns decide to trade. And if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm either going all in or running it back. Obviously, you're not good enough to win a championship. Kevin Durant's 36, gonna be 37 next year. So it's unlikely that Kevin Durant's gonna get any better. It's actually likely that Kevin Durant's gonna get worse. And I know KD's one of the best players in the NBA. I'm not trying to down talk him here. I'm just saying that chances are that he's gonna get worse. And so when you're thinking about trading Durant or Booker, you obviously go to Durant. But if you're going to trade Durant, why would you just keep Booker and Beal and get nothing for that? So what I think that the Phoenix Suns should do is either go all in or just run it back. Because if you do trade Durant and Booker, Bradley Beal obviously isn't going to want to be there anymore. And then you can start exploring options like maybe the Chicago Bulls are taker for Bradley Beal. Maybe the Orlando Magic want to get in there and try to see what they can do. But you could probably get a lot of assets for Devin Booker, especially to New York. And it has been rumored that Devin Booker wants to go to New York. I just think that, as you can see here, a lot of stars do get rumored to go to the New York Knicks. Kevin Durant was a part of it. LeBron was a part of it in 2010. D Wade, but Devin Booker, according to Stephen A. Smith, has a lot of interest in joining the New York Knicks. And if there's ever going to be an offseason where the Knicks do make a splash trade, it's going to be this offseason. Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, their situation is looking a little up in the air, especially with him getting injured so often. Devin Booker probably doesn't want to be a part of a team that's consistently not winning. They did make the finals in 2021, I think it was, but that was more fraudulent to me than anything. Honestly, I don't think that they make the finals if those teams that they played were healthy, but that's neither here nor there. Devin Booker could be a guy that's on the trade market this offseason if the right trade comes about for the Phoenix Suns. And I think that it would be franchise malpractice to not at least explore your options and what you can get for a Devin Booker or a Kevin Durant, especially because that Bradley Beal trade is terrible for them. And Kevin Durant is also reaping the benefits or reaping the repercussions of July 4th, 2016. We ain't never forget. We're never gonna forget, KD. But if you're not aware of this or not, and it's gonna sound a little nerdy, but there's things called aprons in the NBA. And the Phoenix Suns are in the second apron, which means it heavily restricts their ability to sign free agents this offseason. And I'm gonna explain right now why that's a big deal. So in 2016, Kevin Durant went to the Golden State Warriors, and obviously the league knew that that was just too talented of a team. So they set rules in place to basically stop teams from being able to do that consistently. So they entered the first and second apron in this new CBA. The Suns are gonna be in that second apron, which means that based on what this is saying, that you cannot make trades unless the salaries are 100% matched. And if you don't know, most of the trades that happen in the NBA are similar salaries, but they're definitely not 100% matched. On top of that, you can't combine salaries. So let's just say you have Duncan Robinson from the Miami Heat who's making $10 million. I don't know how much he's making exactly, but let's just say he's making $10 million. And then let's say you have Tyler Hero on the Miami Heat who's making $15 million. They couldn't combine those salaries and trade for, let's just say, DeAndre Ayton, who's making $25 million, if the Heat were in the second apron. Does that make sense? I know it's a little confusing, but basically you can't combine salaries and trades to get players. So the Phoenix Suns can't combine Grayson Allen's salary mixed with Yusuf Nurkic to go get somebody. They literally just cannot do that based on their pick. If they're in the second apron for 2 straight years, 7 years down the line, they lose a draft pick, which is just a ridiculous thing to do, but I get it. The KD Warriors shouldn't happen again, and I'm glad that Phoenix is a team that has Kevin Durant, and, you know, the things that are happening to him are Kevin Durant's fault, technically. Now, the Golden State Warriors, the bane of my existence for the past 10 to 12 years. Honestly, I really don't like this team, and I'm just going to talk about them anyway because I do think that their offseason is extremely interesting, and they could really boom this offseason, and they could also just waste away their franchise. But the Golden State Warriors owner has definitely come out to say that their roster is way too expensive and we're not going to spend for a roster that's just not winning. Even Steve Kerr has came out to say that they need to make changes to their roster because the roster is just way too expensive this year. So we're looking at their salary right now. Next year for 2024-2025, we got Stephen Curry making $55 million. Klay Thompson coming off a $43 million contract. He's a free agent. Chris Paul can opt into $30 million. Andrew Wiggins, $26 million. Draymond Green, $24 million. Gary Payton only making $9 million. I think it's a team option. $8 million for Kevon Looney. Jonathan Kuminga gonna make $7 million. Moses Moody gonna make $5 million, and then Brandon Pozinski gonna make $3 million. And so, with all that being said, it looks like Chris Paul, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson are all going to be on the chopping block of we don't know who's going to be on the team next year. Obviously, they're going to probably look to move that Chris Paul contract. Andrew Wiggins is probably going to be looked to move as well. And Draymond Green, options are definitely going to be explored to see if there's a suitor for Draymond Green to be there because that roster is just way too expensive. Altogether, they're going to spend $174 million next season for their roster for a team that literally didn't make the playoffs. I get that it was a very competitive season and a very competitive conference, but you can't be paying that type of money. Probably one of the top 3 most expensive rosters in the league, and your team isn't even making the playoffs, let alone anywhere near a championship. And I do think that there is still a championship you could get out of Steph, whether that be the first or second option. I'm not too sure right now. I do think that they're not in the best position. Again, the very best thing for the Warriors to do is to retool around Stephen Curry. Going and trading everybody and going and trading Steph itself just wouldn't work out because it's super rare for franchises to get top 10 guys. Like the Dallas Mavericks with Luka Doncic right now. They're not going to trade him anytime soon because it's difficult to get a guy of that caliber. Look at the Chicago Bulls. They have Michael Jordan. They win 6 championships. They get Jay Williams, a second overall pick, and then he gets in a motorcycle accident. That derails their franchise. They go ahead and take 10 more years after that. Derrick Rose, and he's great. He wins MVP. They make a conference finals, and then his career is, done to injuries. And look at them since then. That's 24 years basically of mediocrity when they had one of the greatest players of all time on their squad. Look at the New York Knicks. They now have Jalen Brunson. Carmelo Anthony, in my opinion, wasn't a guy that could potentially get you a championship. Personally, I don't think Jalen Brunson is either, but I know I'm rambling a little bit, but get to my point of it takes a long time to get to a guy that can really, really be the number one on a champion. They still have that, and Steph Curry's still playing at a high level. Through hell and high water, you trade everybody on that team. You go and get somebody, anybody. Literally anybody, and make that roster competitive around the Warriors. But of course, the option of just trading everybody isn't a bad one. It really isn't, because Stephen Curry will probably bring a lot of value. But where will you trade Steph Curry to? Steph Curry would probably want to go, and I just don't think that it works out logistically. You're probably going to want Steph Curry to retire as a Warrior. But, I mean, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, I mean, Warriors fans, those are expendable. Those are expendable names to me. Finally going to talk about the Lakers, and this one hurts my soul. So the Lakers salary sheet is a little bit different. Their roster is definitely a little bit expensive, and it is difficult. When you got two guys that you're spending supermax money on, it's going to be difficult to build a solid roster around them. LeBron James making $51 million next year if he opts in. Obviously, we don't think that he's going to opt in. He's probably going to opt out of that contract and take something. Hopefully, best case scenario, LeBron James takes a minimum, but that's unlikely to happen. Anthony Davis is going to make $43 million next year, $60 million a year after that, $65 million. Wow, he's getting paid. D'Angelo Russell's probably going to opt out of his contract and get a bigger contract. Hopefully he's not on the Lakers next year. He did play well for us in spots, and a majority of the season he was really good. I actually have a quote from Darvin Ham that I want to get on today that I really think was disrespectful, and why, you know, some of the problems that we did have this season happened, and I think that Darvin Ham is to blame for a lot of them. This is a real quote from Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham said this when asked about being criticized on not having a consistent rotation for the season. Darvin Ham sit up there and told the media, this is a real quote by the way, if you're coaching a team and one of the starters is like 10 games in a row just shitting the bed, what are you gonna do? When asked, Darvin Ham on the criticism he faces, common sense tends to go out the window when you talk about my job in particular. Who does this man think he is? Who does this man think he is? To sit up there and say that Darvin Ham, I really just hope that Darvin Ham does have an illustrious career after this, but he cannot be the Lakers coach anymore. All season he was pulling a Doc Rivers and he was giving out excuse after excuse after excuse. He's failure to call timeouts. It's just a bad look for us. I think that the best thing that the Lakers could do this offseason is try to make a trade, packaging Rui, if D'Angelo resigns with us, a sign and trade somewhere. I really want to keep Austin Reeves on the team, but if it means we can get a guy like Alex Caruso or guys that are just really, really good players that fill out the margins. If we had a backup center, Jackson Hayes getting the amount of minutes that he got for us really isn't the reason why we lost. Jackson Hayes playing is terrible, but why is Jackson Hayes on the team? We knew all offseason that we were going to have to deal with teams like the Nuggets. Eventually, when the Boston Celtics got Kristaps Porzingis, if the hope was a championship, we knew we were going to have to deal with that. And having Jackson Hayes as our backup center is a GM problem. Nobody else, we didn't have a single other center on our squad. Christian Wood is a power forward, but I get not playing him because he was coming off of an injury. He hasn't played in a while, and it is the most important game of the season. You can't just throw him in the fire like that. I get that. But Jackson Hayes, Spencer Dinwiddie, these guys playing on our team is a GM problem. You have to give minutes to the guys that were there. Yes, we dealt with the injury bug. Vanderbilt definitely would have saved our season in terms of we probably would have won more games in the regular season if we had our full rotation. And I do think that we're still playing right now if the Vando and Christian Wood injury doesn't happen to our team. But, you know, it's over. You know, the season's done. I think that this is more of a Rob Pelinka problem. Him allowing the Russell Westbrook trade was a big misstep. Him trading Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and a couple picks to the Wizards for Russell Westbrook was honestly a career ender. And I don't think that Rob Pelinka has done a great job, and I don't think that Jeannie Buss has been running the show as well as she should have. Now, I'm not too particularly sure what happens with all these teams during the offseason. Personally, I do think that these teams just need a retool. The Lakers and the Warriors for sure just need a retool around their star or their two stars in the Lakers case. And the Suns, in my opinion, they probably should blow it up, but they won't. Honestly, I do think that there is a world where all those players play on the same team. There is a world where even the Lakers could make a trade for Kevin Durant, or the Warriors make a trade for Kevin Durant, or LeBron James signs to the Warriors, which I don't think I want to happen, but it could. There is a world where they play together. But I definitely don't want to see that happen, just in the sense of competitive nature. I do want to see LeBron James stay with the Lakers. I do want to see Steph Curry stay with the Warriors. And I do want to see Kevin Durant suffer on a team that can improve. July 4th will never be forgiven. But other than that, what do you think these teams' futures are? Did you think I did a good job of, explaining everything? Follow my Instagram, man. Follow my Instagram. Follow my TikTok, Spillis Burner, and get at me. Over on Twitter, I'm going to definitely start getting more active on Twitter. But thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna start making more videos like this for sure.